Hello, I hope you all can hear me. My name's Steve McCrae. I'm the Western Canada Sales Director for Moneris Solutions. We help hundreds of thousands of businesses across Canada accept all types of payments, Visa, MasterCard, Interact, etc. If you're not aware, we've set up some pretty amazing rates for all members of the BC Craft Brewers Guild. Whether you want to set up on a new POS system in your tasting room or take payments online for your wholesale business, we have you covered. We love working with the craft breweries in BC and looking forward to another great year of partnership. Up next, we're about to get our heads in the cloud with Adam Crandall. Adam is the owner of Benji Pays, Moody Ales, and the Bakery Brewing. Benji Pays provides integration of your payment processors with QuickBooks, online, and Xero accounting to save you hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars in labor a year. Moody Ales is part of Brewers Row in Port Moody BC, brewing beer you love for over 6 years. The Bakery Brewing brews small batch beers focusing on handcrafted experimentation, sours, barrel-aged beers, and more. Over to you, Adam.
Oh, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. Yeah, thanks, Steve. Appreciate that. I'm just going to share my screen here, folks, to get started. So give me 1 second there. Okay. You should be able to see my screen now. So yeah, thanks, folks. As Steve mentioned, my name is Adam Crandall. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the co-founder of Moody Ales and the Bakery Brewing in Port Moody on Brewers Row, as well as Benji Pays software. And today we're going to chat a little bit real quick here in 30 minutes about some efficiencies we can all gain from using cloud-based software and integrations with the existing systems we have. We're going to have a Q&A at the end for about 15 minutes. And don't mind me, I'm just having a beer while we do. I'm assuming you guys are all at home drinking too. You are in my home, so welcome to my new home. I've never done a presentation like this from my couch, so this is a first. So as I mentioned, I've founder of 2 breweries and Benji Pays in 2019. I've got 20 years of IT and software development and consulting experience, and I've worked with a number of BC breweries to help streamline their ERP and bookkeeping processes. So we're going to chat about how to automate things and how to integrate things to save some time and money. And we have 30 minutes, so we don't have a ton of time. There's not going to be much time for demos here, but the whole purpose of this is to give you guys some food for thought, some tools you can go check out and look at, and some areas you can kind of take a peek at inside your own businesses to see if there's some opportunities maybe to eliminate some low value labor and get that time put towards higher value tasks. As we know, the brewing industry and our organizations, we spend a lot of time on admin, and we honestly lose, especially at the beginning when we're just getting started up, and we're just mad scramble to get beer out the door and customers served in the tasting room. We're losing a lot of time, hundreds of hours a year, really, to inefficient processes and manual data entry and labor. We've got multiple levels of government, what's the right word, oversight that we have to deal with, a lot of reporting that we have to do to them. And then we also just need to make sure, like any business, that our books are up to date and that we have the information at hand in a timely manner to be able to make good decisions. And so with the amount of overhead we all have, we tend to, if we're not as efficient as possible, we tend to be making decisions on old data or incomplete data. We've got additional costs due to errors and omissions from data entry, and we tend to be chasing team members around trying to get information that would hopefully be readily available. So going through all this, one thing to keep in mind is all these systems are fairly easy to use. It is important that you work with your bookkeeper, your accountant, to make sure things are set up properly if you need to, and make sure things are mapped properly. And no matter what you're doing, have clear systems, have clear processes, have clear SOPs for everything that you're doing. so that everyone's doing things the same way in your organization. And then look for processes where there is, a lot of data entry, potential for human error when it comes to those things. And those are the kind of areas where you're going to find places that are kind of ripe for automation or integration with these cloud-based software. So a few areas that might be obvious, but that I'll just quickly go through, and we're going to talk about some things that can help in each of these areas that can benefit from these cloud software. So obviously the bookkeeping and accounting processes, getting that stuff online, your month-end prep. When do you guys get your month-end done? We used to be, for some of you might be thinking, what's a month-end? It used to take us quite a long time, and we now aim for the 10th of the month following the close. And our accountant's able to hit that on a monthly basis, which gives us a lot of valuable data. Other areas are like receipt and expense tracking. Get rid of those, getting rid of all those paper receipts or lack thereof if they're getting lost and not making their way back to your bookkeeper or your accountant. End of day sales, data entry from your lounge point of sale. Wholesale sales tracking and customer tracking, inventory tracking, all the reporting requirements that go around weekly DSWR uploads, excise reporting, your annual production declarations, and your annual package product movement summaries with the LDB, making sure you have access to accurate, readily available data to make sure you're not getting hit with penalties or anything like that. Payment processing and accounts receivable, like what's your average days outstanding currently? All that product sitting at a customer that hasn't paid yet is your money, and you want to get that money in the bank as quickly as possible to run your business. So. The other thing we want to automate for is to reduce risk during audits. So, we all know, many of you may have already been audited by one or more of these areas of the government. It's not really a matter of if, it's when they're going to come and do the audit. Many of you may have watched the Surviving an Audit seminar yesterday. There's, CRA, excise, PSC, GST, corporate income tax, LDB sales and production. There's probably a few others that I'm missing there. And, speaking to auditors, like typically what they first do is look at the quality of your records. So if they come in and things are in a paper box and there's a few spreadsheets with like missing fields and stuff, they're probably more likely to look at things in heavy detail. Whereas if they come in and see that you have a solid process and standard SOPs and you've got, transactional data history, they're probably going to be able to take a sampling of your data and determine whether it's necessary to go look any deeper. And so making sure the quality of your records and your systems is as good as possible will help you when it comes to the time of being audited. So that's another reason to get things integrated and to make sure that computers are doing a lot of the work, because they tend to do really well with numbers, moving them back and forth. So just to start off, the first obvious area is cloud-based accounting systems. Many of you are probably already using something like QuickBooks Online or Xero Accounting or Sage Online. Many of you may be using a desktop version, or your bookkeeper accountant may be using a desktop version of those. There's a lot of benefits to an online accounting system. Some accountants don't like them because there's some of the features are a bit cut down. I usually say for most of us, for breweries, we typically won't need a lot of the features in those desktop versions, and the benefits that we get from a cloud-based system far outweigh any of the things that might be missing. It gives you easy access, your accountant's easy access to the data anytime. It gives, or your bookkeeper, it gives you and your team members easy access from anywhere, from any computer. And these all have large app ecosystems that you can plug other software into to help move data around and connect things like your point of sale and whatnot. You also get a lot of reporting. You can do all your invoicing. You've got a full audit trail. Anytime someone edits, voids, adds something, there's a trail of history of who did that and when they did it. So these are all good things for knowing how your books got to the point that they are. At Moody Ales, we use QuickBooks Online. Same at the bakery. It's what I know best from my past experience. Xero Accounting is an Australian company that's making a lot of inroads in North America, and they have a decent product. And Sage is a UK-based company that has been around for a long time under a couple of different names, and has also got an online accounting system as well. So probably the biggest area that, would affect pretty much everyone in your organization is payroll when it comes to cloud-based systems and places to look at. If you're still doing like handwritten checks, or if someone's still manually calculating your payroll taxes and vacation pay and all that, it's definitely worthwhile to look at a cloud-based payroll package. Now, there's many out there that are outside of the cloud-based accounting systems like QuickBooks and Xero and whatnot. ADP, Waypage, I believe, is another one. Some of them have integrations into these accounting systems. These three systems have their own payroll modules as well. Speaking specifically about QuickBooks Online, it will auto-calculate all your payroll deductions. It keeps track of your employees' wages. You have multiple pay rates for different types of roles. It does, there's an online employee portal where your employees can log in and get their pay stubs and their T4s. So that can eliminate some of that paper and needing to print and put things in envelopes and whatnot. Direct deposit is available with it. So our employees love that. They wake up and the money's in their bank. And it's all fully integrated. So when you go to do payroll, or when your bookkeeper goes to do payroll, they're simply entering the hours in for each employee. They are submitting to create the paychecks that gets submitted to QuickBooks Payroll for the direct deposit, and all the background accounting entries are done automatically for you. So it's nice to have that all integrated. Some of the other systems that are not within, that aren't made by QuickBooks or Xero or whatnot, can integrate into your accounting system and do some of the same things. So it's good to look around. Just kind of think about what you want to get out of that, and I guarantee you this is this will save a lot of time if you are still manually writing checks and doing that, especially around your this time of year when you're having to do T4s. It makes it a lot quicker to do that. The next one, so we use Receipt Bank at Moody and the Bakery. So this is about getting the receipts that your staff and employees are collecting over time that are expenses, right? So we used to have to chase. So my business partner, Dan, he'll admit it, like we would chase him for months to get receipts, and usually he'd end up with a kind of a ball of crumpled things that would come in a couple months late. And when we switched to Receipt Bank, basically what this does is Receipt Bank sits between your staff and your accounting system and your bookkeeper. There's an app on your phone, and when someone spends some money, they take their receipt, they take their phone, they take a picture, and they submit it. And now your bookkeeper, accountant, or somebody will see that in the Receipt Bank portal, and they can review it. Receipt Bank will have intelligently looked at that picture and figured out the supplier and the taxes and the totals and prepared it to be pushed into QuickBooks along with the attachment of that image. So you have that all in one place. And so as far as getting your month ends done and making sure we don't lose those receipts and inherently lose GST input tax credits and things like that, this saves us a ton of time and just streamlines everything. Receipt Bank's great. There is a monthly fee to it. QuickBooks, Xero, and Sage all have their own built-in receipt submission modules as well that are available through their apps, and it's quite easy to use those. They're not quite as full featured, but they are improving constantly, and they're definitely worth checking out and seeing if they're good enough. And if they are, they're included in the cost of your accounting package. And if not, then you can look at something like Receipt Bank to get a few more features out of. And the main thing is you won't have to chase down people like Dan anymore to get those receipts, to be able to get your month end done. The next area that you want to look at, if you're not already looking at it, is an integration between your tap room or lounge point of sale and your accounting system. So there's a few options here. Like some folks do a daily entry of all the sales in detail of all the items into their accounting system, which is fine. And some people do like a category based entry, or some people do like a month end one entry for all their sales. We like to have stuff come in by the category on a daily basis so that we can track things through the month and see it all in one place in QuickBooks. And we use the product right in the middle there called Shogo, and it connects Square for us and QuickBooks. It'll also connect most of these other three point of sales plus a whole handful of other ones. And it basically imports all the sales for the day into an entry in your accounting system. And it also sets up an entry that allows our accountant to be ready to deal with what recording the tips payable and the taxes payable and all that kind of stuff, and just deal with that end of day reconciliation for the cash drawer and all those things. If you're using Lightspeed, which is, I think they have a partnership with Moneris. So if you're using Lightspeed or Square, they both have built-in integrations to synchronize with QuickBooks and Xero for sure, and I believe Sage for both of them. If you're using something else, I know a lot of us use Touch Bistro. Then you're going to need something like Shogo to connect those two things together, and that connection works quite well. There's also bookkeep.com, which I don't have any experience with, but Sherry Lee Mathers, who's a bookkeeper who works with a lot of the BC breweries, has recommended it. It doesn't support as many point of sale systems, but it does support Square and QuickBooks and Xero. So it's a bit cheaper. It's only $10 a month. And this if you're currently doing a daily entry, like this will save you, however that is taking you long. Let's say it's a half an hour, so it'll save you a half hour a day. It's a huge time saver, and if you use the built-in integrations, it's free. If you use Shogo, it's like $20 a month, and like I said, bookkeep.com is I think $9.99 US. And the nice thing about this, like I mentioned, is you're going to get a real-time, like daily view of how sales are going, integrated into your books, and be able to see that in your profit and loss statement on a daily basis, and really know how things are going. So the next thing is, and this came up for us recently. So up until March, this wasn't really a big deal for us, but cash tips, we aren't currently taking cash in these days, and so dealing with cashing out credit card tips became kind of a nuisance. We were having to do a weekly bank run to get enough cash to pay out the tips. Whereas before it wouldn't be a problem because we'd bring enough in through the tasting room sales. There's also some rules around how long you have to convert those credit card tips into cash for your employees. Like the CRA has rules around this, and they have tax implications. And so I'm not an accountant, I'm not a tax accountant, so you can ask your accountant about this, but I believe it's 24 or 48 hours is what the requirement is to convert your credit card tips into cash for your staff. And the other thing they have is if management is in charge of controlling those tip payouts, then they consider that as required to be reported on your employees' pay stubs and on their paychecks. So basically paying your tips out through payroll, which for you may not be that big a deal. Your staff may not be too keen on it. So enter Tips Today. We just started using this, and so far it's working out pretty well. Basically what Tips Today does is they issue a Visa debit card to all your staff members that are going to be collecting tips, and they set up a bank account. I believe it's with RBC, and you transfer, your bookkeeper figures out what the tips payable are and transfers that amount of money to that bank account. And then someone on staff will go and take all the hours provided by your bookkeeper, and there's a spreadsheet template they update with everyone's names and the number of hours and the tips owing, and they upload that into Tips Today, and all that money gets dispersed out into those debit Visa cards. And so there's no more running to the bank. Typically that would have been like like one of the owners going to the bank machine. We don't have to do that. It's all traceable. It's reversible. The money is yours. The bank account's in your name. So, if tips today is not around tomorrow, the money's still available. And the staff get it. They can get their tips a lot faster, and they can use that debit card anywhere they can use any other debit card, and they can take money straight out of an ATM if needed as well. And it also makes sure if you're doing it and having a staff member do that spreadsheet, then it makes sure that you're in compliance with those potential taxation issues as well. But again, talk to your accountant about that. Okay, moving right along. Okay, so the next thing. So some of you may have heard me talk about ERP systems to do with breweries before. And so I'm not going to go into as much detail this time, but basically knowing that there is a few ways to deal with inventory tracking, sales tracking, order tracking, all that kind of stuff. There's spreadsheets, which many of us either still use or start off with, which work great for some organizations, especially if they have someone who is good with spreadsheets and can take the time to support those and alter them and create them. Definitely an option, but they're not really integrated with your accounting system or anything like that. And then there's probably, then you've got things like full ERP systems, and there's different levels in there. So there's Ecos. These are all cloud-based, but there's Ecos that many breweries use. There's orchestrated beer, which is probably something that much larger breweries use, crafted ERP, and there's a Brew Ninja. There's many others, and they all have their pros and cons for sure. Most of them do synchronize or integrate with either QuickBooks Online or Xero or Sage or all three of those. Some of them will integrate specifically with, like, orchestrated beer has its own like accounting back end. And so you wouldn't need QuickBooks or anything if you were using that. And the main thing to think about with these, like for most of us, like at the price point we're looking at our size, Ecos or Brew Ninja or something like that's going to be the one that kind of pops up in our price range. When you're evaluating these things, really look at how they integrate with your accounting system. There's a ton of value that we get from our Ecos and QuickBooks integration as far as keeping our balance sheet and our inventory values and our cost of goods sold and our bills and everything up to date and synchronized with our ERP system. So basically when ingredients and things come in, they come in as a cost, and that's inventory. And those things get converted into work in progress inventory and then packaged product inventory. And as that happens in the ERP system, it gets updated in the accounting system in almost real time. And then that stuff is available to sell. And so we invoice through Ecos, and that stuff gets pushed. Those invoices get pushed down to QuickBooks and synchronized there, as well as our customers and everything. Also take a look and make sure you really want a transactional based system. Like you want to be able to see, okay, this is what happened. Like we packaged 1,000 4-packs of this, and then we sold 50 invoices, and that was 500. And then we found that we had a broken flat, so we adjusted that out and we marked it as spoilage. And you want to be able to see those transactions so you can really go back and understand what's going on if you ever needed to. And the other thing is that allows you to report on things like, show me all the product that we marked as spoilage and the total volume, which is what you'll need when you go to do your annual package product movement summary. So take a look for stuff like that. You want some strong reporting capabilities that you can customize. Ideally, you would have a transactional system, but then around that, you're really going to want to set up some standard SOPs that everyone follows for moving inventory around and invoicing and all of that kind of stuff. And if you do that, you're going to get a ton of benefits. So your books will be up to date. You're going to have quicker completion of your weekly DSWR reporting, your product movement summaries, all that kind of stuff, your excise reports, etc. And you're always going to have a really accurate view of what inventory you have available to sell And you can start, after a while, you'll start to get data where you can see how fast things are selling, and you can start to forecast things for when you're going to have to package and produce the next batch of IPA or whatever it is. Now there's also some, so for us, kind of my I don't know what the right word is, but the way I like to do this is I like to have QuickBooks is our accounting system. And at the end of the day, that's really where I'm going to look to know how the company is doing. And so our ERP system plugs into that, and our data lives in there, but all the financial data ends up in QuickBooks. So if I ever needed to replace Ecos, I could do that, and I wouldn't lose my invoices and everything. They're still there. And then we actually, we all use something like Sales Leader or Ollie or what our Container World system to place our orders. And so we actually double enter those. And the reason we do that, although it takes a few seconds per invoice longer, is that we like to know that we've got a control of a inventory system in Ecos that nobody else can touch. So when we look at Ecos and we compare it to like the direct tap inventory and something's off, we're going to go back and look in our system, then we're going to look in theirs, and we're going to be able to figure out why. And sometimes it's because there was an adjustment done somewhere that wasn't done in the other one. We just want to know that we have full control over one of those systems, and that we're not going to lose all that data at some point. So that's some of the stuff to look at for an ERP system. So integration with your accounting system, transactional, and lots of reporting. And just remember, it's not just around production planning. It's really, that's part of it. It's not around just tracking production. That's part of it. It's really about all the value you get from having all this data integrated. And the longer you use that system, the reports and data you can get out of it become more and more valuable. So there's also systems like order processing and sales tools and inventory tracking such as Ollie Order. So, chatting with Jesse actually just today, Jesse's the founder over at Ollie. We differ in opinion on a couple of these things, which is okay because there's different ways to do things. So Jesse's really focused on building Ollie to eliminate all duplicate data entry, but even to the point of if I enter a customer, you don't have to. Right. So like not just eliminating our own duplicate, but eliminating everybody's, which is great. And so this can work really well for folks to use as their order processing and basically their inventory tracking system entirely in one place if they don't feel they have a need to maintain that level of detail in QuickBooks, or to be able to maintain their own inventory system that nobody else has access to. And it also it's really a multi-channel, they'll say, it says right on their website, and it really is a multi-channel sales tool, right, for the alcohol industry. And so it gives you a lot of benefits around the sales side of things too, that you won't get from most of those ERP systems. And so it's definitely worth looking at. And you really just need to evaluate all these things based on your budgets and how you want your business to be run and where you want your kind of source of truth to live with your data. So with Ollie, they got all the third-party warehouses. You can do your order tracking, there's integrated payments, all that kind of stuff, breakage tracking. There's a CRM integration and all of these things. So, and I'm sure Jesse will be happy to talk to everybody about that in great detail. And I know that many of us already use that system. So, okay. So the next thing we're going to chat through, I'm going to take a quick sip here. Okay, credit card payment. So this was the bane of my existence. So I spent about 8 months on Order Desk for a bunch of reasons in 2019, and I learned a lot. And we were able to kind of streamline that just from being on. When you sit in a role, you start to see the inefficiencies. And our order processing order processing now with Ecos and the double entry and everything is kind of around 25 hours a week at our volume. A bit less right now, but a little bit more in the summer. And the rest of that time is spent, working with the customers and internal staff stuff and working with the brewers and coordinating inventory and whatnot. And that used to take us a lot longer. But one of the big things was we used to, so way back in the day, and many of you may still do this, we used to have a physical terminal, just like in our tap room, that we would manually punch a card number in every time we sold something, and print out a receipt and staple that to a piece of paper to copy the invoice and file it. That was super time consuming. And so enter the Moneris gateway and the Moneris vault. So Moneris has, many payment processors actually have something similar, but Moneris has a online gateway with a virtual terminal, and they have an online credit card vault where you can securely store your customers' credit card information to be able to pull it up over and over again. And this is a separate merchant account from if you've got, Moneris in your tasting room. So it's nice to be able to keep it separate. And what this allowed us to do is kind of get all the credit cards in one place. And now we could go and search for a credit card. We don't have to re-enter it. It's secure. We type the amount in, charge it, email the customer receipt, and then apply the payment in our accounting system. And so that saved us a lot of time as well. And it kind of also makes us a bit more PCI compliant. So PCI compliance is around the credit card industry's data rules. Like we're really not supposed to be emailing PDFs with credit cards around. I'm sure none of us do that. So getting that stuff kind of out of filing cabinets and out of emails and into the secure Moneris cloud helps with that. You can reuse the cards and get them. The biggest thing though was when the guild partnered with Moneris, they put together some really great rates for us. So at Moody, we saw a substantial decrease in our costs. If you're a Moneris customer right now and you're not on the guild's plan with Moneris, you should reach out immediately. You only have to fill out like one page, and they just change the plan you have. If you're not a Moneris customer on the guild plan, you should definitely talk to them. I'm sure their contact information is in the associate membership section of our new BC Brewers Guild community here. And if you're still storing credit card numbers in a spreadsheet or on sticky notes around the office or on a piece of paper in a filing cabinet, like definitely you want to look at something like this, because there's a ton of liability if that information gets into the hands of someone that wants to use it for no good. And that could be external, internal, whatever it may be. So after spending 8 months in Order Desk, I kind of was getting fed up of doing that. And we were spending about, we had a couple folks that would help us with this, and we spent about 10 to 12 hours a week, especially at our peak months, processing credit cards and retrying declined cards, even with the Moneris vault and the gateway. And so having my IT background, I thought there's got to be a better way than this. So the next step was to fully automate the process. So that's where Benji Pays got born out of. And so Benji Pays basically sits between your accounting system, QuickBooks Online or Xero Accounting, and Moneris, and it links your customer in QuickBooks or Xero to your Moneris card profile. And this way, when the invoice ends up in QuickBooks, on the day that it's due, Benji Pays will automatically, without you having to do anything, process that card. If it declines, it just keeps trying until it goes through. It tries the next day and the next day. You get a report of all that. It immediately, once we implemented it, it immediately took us from about kind of 10, 12, even more on the really busy months, 10, 12 hours a week down to basically nothing on the processing side. But it also reduced the number of support calls we get around missing invoices and what's this charge on my credit card, because they get a copy of their receipt and a copy of their paid invoice right away. And so we probably, I've seen we can typically cut that down by about 90% as well. So it's been a huge time saver for us and for the other folks that are using Benji Pays. Super easy to use. Of course, I'm a little biased there, given that it's my company, but you can talk to anyone that's using it; they'll probably say the same thing. So, the main thing, just to kind of summarize all this, is hopefully there's some tools here. Like all the links are in this deck. I know this is being recorded. I can't wait to watch myself on video, and hopefully there's enough here that you guys can go back, look at the systems you have, look at where there's a lot, like look for manual, repeatable database processes where someone's doing it manually, this is the kind of stuff that computers are really good at. And there's probably an app out there that can help you with it, and can save you guys a ton of time. And that's really what we spent at Moody. We spent the last year and a half doing, and it's really helped us streamline a lot of the areas of our business. There's lots of ways to to approach these things, and lots of different solutions that will work for you. And you just got to figure out, work with your bookkeeper, work with your accountant, to figure out which ones would be best for your processes and your business. The other thing I'll say is, I've definitely spoken with some bookkeepers and accountants that are, unfortunately they're worried about the automation, the integration, and they almost seem like, I hate to say it, and I hope it's not the case, but they're worried about their billable time. And you really, you guys are running a business, and you want to get the most value out of your people. And if you could take 10 hours a week off somebody and put that onto, instead of entering data, analyzing it, reporting on it and actioning things to make, future outcomes better, that's really what you want to do. So if you're feeling like your current provider is, maybe not willing to look at that kind of stuff, definitely push on it and consider how to convince them to at least look at some of that stuff and get some of these integrations done. Okay, that went a few minutes faster than I expected, which is good. I think we're going to do Q&A now. I think Ken's here. There he is. You're muted, Ken.
And hiding. So just give me a second here, because it's gone to full screen, which means I need to now find the chat again. I think what was really cool about this, and why we wanted Adam to talk, was this is one of the examples of something that we've talked about, which is working on your business, not in your business. This time-saving stuff that Adam presents, and some of the other programs that we have a number of people, particularly that Tips Today guys, they're ready to go to present their program in the online community. So we will set that up, definitely. Yeah, thank you, Adam, very much. We highly, Sherry's writing that, I don't know if it's a question, just a comment, highly recommend a closed loop of having a backup system to the accounting, such as Rewind, in the event of an app bad connection or oops on your Shopify store. Rick is asking Adam, do you know if ECOS has any plans to implement Canadian, federal, or provincial tax reporting?
I would say it's very unlikely that they would do that, because they rely on the accounting systems to take care of the tax part of things. So what I do know that they've said they're going to implement is getting taxes set up properly for your inventory receipts and your supplier bills. But I don't think they're, like, as far as PST, GST, they're not going to do. On the excise side, the numbers are right. It just doesn't calculate the drop-offs quite right. So we take the numbers out and we track that, month to month, to make sure we're paying the next level of excise when needed. Does that answer the question?
It does for me. You know what a financial genius I am, so.
Yeah, okay.
There is somebody commenting, I don't know if you can see the comments or not, reply to Rick, Xero is currently doing GST returns and is about to launch PST reporting. And somebody shouting out to you that as a bookkeeper, if you have more than 5 wholesale invoices a week, Benji Pays. It pays for itself. Excellent tracking, direct track. There you go. Customer testimony.
And on the, like, QuickBooks does full GST and provincial sales tax tracking, and really well as well. So I doubt ECOS is ever going to implement that side of it. It just doesn't, I don't think it makes sense for them.
Yeah, and does Benji's Pays link with other gateways other than Moneris?
Am I allowed to say? Yes, it does.
Yes, you're allowed. But it's a good segue for the next comment.
Is that Carmen?
Yes.
So you can reach Carmen at carmen.dang@moneris.com.
Yeah, I
Carmen's
mean,
awesome.
Moneris, for everyone to know, I think it's been, Adam, 14 or 18 months or something that
Yeah.
Moneris, through Adam, actually came to us, and I met with Steve, and they put together this great program. And one of the things that I kind of want to let you know, if you have other businesses, not just the brewery business, but you have another business, Moneris extends the rates to whatever companies you're involved with, which I think is just awesome. Like that, there's a number of people who have other businesses, and they're, as long as you're a member of the guild, they're good to go. So they've been awesome partners for, I think it's 18 months or so now.
Yeah, and associate members also, like, so all our associate members have access to the guild rates. And I can't remember the exact drop, but like for us at Moody, it was quite noticeable. It was a few $1,000s a year, and that was 2.5 years ago. So it'd be even more now that we save using the Moneris plan. And yeah, definitely reach out to their team. So Carmen's saying you can reach Carmen. She's the regional sales consultant, so she's worked with lots of the breweries. And Nicholas Stanley, business development consultant, his number's here as well, and his email. So if you look in the chat, definitely, it costs you nothing to reach out to them. If you're not a Moneris client, they'll do a cost comparison. And if you are, it's not impossible, unlikely that you have the same or better rates than what we're getting. So, and the other, don't get any, like, the guild doesn't get anything out of this. So like,
no, this is purely driven for member benefit. Absolutely. Yeah, it's awesome. In your experience, what's the most effective POS?
It depends on, sorry, I'm just reading Chloe's comment there. It depends on what it honestly depends on your lounge and your tasting room. So Touch Bistro seems to work really well with folks, especially if they're doing food and whatnot. Lightspeed's another one. If you have a more, like, you need to be able to keep track of tables and covers and all that kind of stuff and full menus, like, cost effective. Well, we use Square because it's free, but you don't get all the features that you would get out of the other ones. And if we were doing more food or needed to do more around tables and stuff, we would probably not be able to use Square. I know that they're using it. They have a restaurant version coming out, but we would probably look at those other ones a lot closer. So yeah, free is always good, but you don't always get everything you need out of it.
The other thing that I was going to mention there, but I also saw Chloe's
so this is a rental, okay? So and this is it's hard to tell. This is a gray couch and this is a brown wall.
Beige. I think I'll paint the ceiling beige.
Oh, you can come over and paint my wall anytime.
Yeah. I was going to say that in general, what we find roughly is that the savings you do through Moneris, generally, depending on your size, pays for your membership. Easy. So I can't think why you wouldn't want to do it. Let me just see. I seem to. Sorry, cost effective. I don't myself. I thought I saw 12 messages, and then I saw. Now I have no questions, so I don't know if I've.
Yeah, I'm just looking through them.
I just see the last one on my end is Chloe.
Yeah.
Still debating you.
Yes. So there's a question there, which is
Touch Bistro.
Yeah. So around can deposits, and honestly, that's valid. We do a manual adjustment on the taxes. So basically, Touch Bistro, you can have an add-on item, which can be your can deposit, and that add-on item you can set it as non-taxable. You can't do that in Square. We just put everything's in Square, taxes, everything, and then we just do an adjustment to pull the taxes off the can deposits once a month. Yeah.
Warren's still waiting for your answer on Bombers from 2 years ago or something.
Hey, Adam, what do you think about Bombers?
I think that is. I think a lot of people are probably drinking beers right now, and this is like the last of the last. So I think we'll end it there. I think that makes a lot of sense. Adam, thank you so much for all you do, not only for the business, but Adam's also the treasurer of the guild.